By the year 2050, people will live on Mars, as long as fully automatic mining operations move quickly towards becoming more profitable. The Perseverance rover, which is run by NASA, has two main goals. First, it is meant to answer the question of whether or not there was ever life on Mars. Second, it is meant to help find solutions to problems that future human missions to the planet might face. Finding water and being able to use robots to collect and handle it is the most important part of setting up a colony on Mars. Before people can set foot on the red planet, this must be done. Water is the most important thing in the world. You need water to live, but it also gets you hydrogen, which can be used for power. Before people can live on Mars, processes will need to be set up there, robots will need to be sent there, and water will need to be made there. After that, it will be possible to get hydrogen and have energy ready before people come. It is clear that we need to make progress in robots and self-driving systems if we are going to be able to prepare the water and separate the hydrogen in time for people to arrive. We can't do it right now for a lot of different reasons. There has been a lot of study on the best way to do it, but there is still no agreement. It also depends on how many people we think will live on Mars at one time. Is it 5 or 5,000 or 50,000 or even more? Elon Musk, a famous businessman, has said that he is sure that by the year 2050, there will be a city on Mars with 1 million people living there. Musk's company, SpaceX, has suggested that 1,000 starships could be used to take people to Mars, and that there are plans for as many as 3 rocket flights per day. Even though it might not be possible to do this in the time allotted, the need to travel and the chance of settling on Mars will be what drives the technological advances that are needed. I think the technology is ready, and we already know what we need to know. The biggest problem is that we don't have the attention we need. The more important question is, why don't we already do that here on Earth? Why do we still need people to do the hard physical work in this mining operation? Even though we have a lot of experience with digging, we still depend on people to do a lot of the work. For businesses to get involved in making products for Mars trips, they must first be able to make minerals or something else that can be used to make things. And then they must be able to sell those things. Right now, everything is just a cost, and businesses aren't making any money because of that. Even so, there is a chance that this is starting to change. Lockheed Martin and Boeing have teamed up to make United Launch Alliance. Both businesses have put a lot of money into the rockets that send spacecraft into space. United Launch Alliance has said that they will pay $500 per kilogram for fuel made from water and sent to the moon. The price goes up to $3,000 per kilogram if the fuel is available in a low Earth orbit. Because of this, there is an instant market. Also, if Elon Musk's plan to put people on Mars in 20 years is successful, it will be easier to start a market. I think people will start living on Mars between 2040 and 2050, but the sooner they do it, the better. This could be cut down if new technologies lead to lower costs, or if there are more reasons to do so. Both of these things could be important. I think the first thing that will happen is that we will set up a city on the moon and use it as a base to do these things. After that, we'll be able to use the moon as a stopover on our way to Mars and beyond. But I think that by the year 2050, there will be people living on both the moon and Mars. There's a good chance that people will go to Mars in the next few decades. NASA wants to send people to Mars by the late 2030s or early 2040s. China, on the other hand, wants to start sending people to the red planet as early as 2033. When people finally get there, they might want to set up a city there. The idea of colonization implies a certain amount of self-sufficiency, but it doesn't always mean that a place is completely independent of Earth. Saidam compares Mars to a faraway island, where things would still need to be brought in from time to time. Saidam says that most of the goods they would need would come from Earth. I don't think it's possible for a truck to be made on the surface of Mars. In order to live on Mars, astronauts would have to get used to the harsh temperatures and high amounts of radiation that are there. For a Mars city to have the chance of being able to support itself in the long run, it would have to be able to make something. Space travel is one option. but Sidam pointed out that getting minerals out of space is the most important part of making space colonies work. Even though humans living on Mars is the most likely successful extraterrestrial choice, the red planet is not exactly the best place for humans to live. Mars's atmosphere is made up of more than 95% carbon dioxide, and the average temperature there is about minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit, or minus 60 degrees Celsius. It takes about 8.5 months for a rocket to get to Mars from Earth, and it is hit by harmful radiation. Exoplanets are planets that are not in our solar system. They are likely to have more places to live than planets in our solar system. The problem with exoplanets is that they are in very faraway places. Only the Voyager 1 and 2 probes have ever left our solar system. It took them 35 and 41 years respectively to get to the space between the stars. We haven't even sent a spaceship to a planet in another star system yet. It is a very long way from Earth to an asteroid. According to French scientist Frédéric Marin, who studies black holes at the Astronomical Observatory of Strasbourg, which is part of the University of Strasbourg in France, it would take several tens of thousands of years to reach the nearest exoplanet with our current technology. This information came from Live Science. Because the trips are so long, it might seem impossible to live on an asteroid. But Marin, who does computer models of interstellar travel as a scientific curiosity, thinks that they will drop a lot soon, because faster spacecraft will be available. Marin said, "We know from science that the speed of your means of propulsion goes up by a factor of 10 every 100 years, every century. In other words, the time it would take to get to an exoplanet could go from tens of thousands of years to thousands of years, and then to hundreds of years, as people learn how to move through space faster and faster with each passing century." Marin gave a possible scenario in which people could go to an alien world in the next 500 years and find it to be at least a little bit habitable. A trip that took 1,000 years would still need a starship that was piloted by many human generations, most of whom would never see the alien planet that was finally settled. The results of Marin's estimates show that a multi-generational colony ship could work with about 500 people on board at first. There are ethical questions and uncertainties because no one knows how people will feel about spending the rest of their lives on a spaceship, or how their children will feel about being born into a life of traveling between galaxies. There is no guarantee that people will ever be able to live on planets outside of our solar system. Climate change and other problems rooted on Earth could wipe out humanity before we figure out how to move between stars. And that's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.